Hello, kia ora, g'day, I'm Philip Duncan from Weather Watch TV on YouTube with your Australia-only forecast for the next week ahead. And we've got some changing weather coming through. Now that we're in October the 1st today, we are likely to still be seeing more of the spring weather, especially in the south. But at the same time, as we get closer to the cyclone season on the 1st of November, we do expect to see more life developing north of Australia, up around Papua New Guinea and Indonesia. Plenty of thunderstorms this morning up there, thunderstorms east of Vanuatu and around the Coral Sea, where we've seen a little bit of low pressure. That low pressure system is basically falling apart. And then the other low, the main one, is here, right over the top of Tasmania, Bass Strait, driving in showers, thunderstorms around Tassie, especially the northern side of Tasmania. And then you jump further northwards where it connects up with the jet stream, and that produces high cloud along with some downpours, some thicker clouds producing thunderstorms that are kind of spilling out of the Northern Territory and more so into Queensland and also some parts of New South Wales where you've got rain and showers moving through this morning. Lastly, Western Australia is pretty quiet. There are a few showers up around the Kimberley. Further southwards along the southern coastline, also some showers as the next system moves along, and that is all behind that main low. So there are a few moving parts at the moment. Here is the air pressure map, and like I said yesterday, there is no high centered over Australia. The one over the Indian Ocean is doing a fairly good job at stretching into South Australia, and that's producing a bit of a southerly flow. So basically, where you see the brighter shading, that is higher pressure. Temperatures are also down mostly in that area. Further northwards, where you got the lower pressure, pretty hot and humid, and the temperatures are going up. So as high pressure moves along the south over the coming days, the heat up here is going to sink down behind it. So we'll explain that in a moment, but we kick off with a wind map. Overnight tonight, going into around sort of 4 a.m. tomorrow morning, a surge of windy weather. That's the stuff that's south of Western Australia at the moment. Comes in the southwest corner of Victoria and parts of southeast South Australia. A surge of gusty conditions in coastal areas. Inland, blustery, but not as bad, but it could be maybe getting up to 90 k's an hour with some of those gusts. It's not non-stop like that all the time, just gusting up to that. So on the bigger picture, you can see that area. It's sort of here in the on the map just west of the box. I've moved the box because this is going into the afternoon. So by then, that energy has shifted over to Victoria and Tasmania, where you've got a chance of very strong winds, squally showers, thunderstorms, and then because of the polar boundary coming up, a dusting of snow on the mountains of Victoria and New South Wales. That southerly goes right up into Queensland. You've still got a couple of lingering showers or thunderstorms, but a drier airflow coming through, dropping your temperatures a little bit for you. And then over here in the Northern Territory, low pressure is sinking. You've got a few more showers and thunderstorms and a wee bit of low pressure also over in Western Australia. But now that the high has zipped out over the Great Australian Bight, the back end of it, the part that's over Western Australia, that's likely to drag down that hotter airflow, and that starts to do it on Friday. The red line, the tropical boundary. So all of the air north of that red line, hot, humid, above 30 degrees, for example, at least, and some areas up here above 40 degrees. So that's getting into the real heat now, drifting down into Western Australia on the back edge of the high. That's pretty much parked over South Australia on Friday afternoon. Now, because of the high's placement there, warm winds on the left-hand side, cold winds on the right-hand side. Although the polar boundary moves out to the Tasman Sea, it's still a southerly for parts of Tasmania and Victoria, and even into New South Wales. And then it curves around as that easterly, producing those showers that you see in the Northern Territory, where there will be a few thunderstorms, although the rainfall, pretty low overall. Not expecting anything too major just out of that system. So going into Saturday, we've got the high moving out to the east. It's east now of New South Wales, although pretty much over the top of New South Wales and the ACT. So the winds will be light, the morning a little cool, and then the afternoon's quite pleasant and warm. Now, as you go into South Australia, you've got that heat coming down from the tropics as a nor'wester as well. So that will lift up your temperatures. The red tropical boundary coming right down close to the coastline, and that pushes into South Australia as we go later into Saturday. Just jump over to the other side of Western Australia, and there comes the next polar boundary as a cold front arrives. Showers, a few thunderstorms, and an offshore low there, also helping to trigger a few more inland showers through Western Australia, and the thunderstorms up here continue. Our Climate Watch update is out later today, and that's talking about the long-range trends around Australia, New Zealand, the South Pacific and the Indian Ocean. We talk about the Indian Ocean dipole and how you may be seeing more rainmakers like this out here to the west and up around Indonesia over the coming months. So we'll talk more about that in our other video. But let's carry on into the weekend. Apologies, this one's a little blurrier for some reason, but high pressure again out here in the Indian Ocean, where it seemed to really enjoy parking over the last month. That placement means, again, the right-hand side of it's where you've got the colder wind. So that is blowing through here as a southerly quarter. That means it's southwest, southerly, southeasterly. Just to the north here in Western Australia, low pressure sinking right down. So between low pressure here and high pressure building over the Indian Ocean, not only does that make a squash zone where the southeasterly winds pick up, but it also makes a line of convergence. That's where we get that heavy rain because of low pressure with the tropical heat, high pressure with the polar, colder, dry, and all of that gets squeezed here to produce a line of heavy showers, rain and thunderstorms. On the other side of the country, warm northwesterly winds carry on through. They'll be strongest around Tasmania and blustery through the mountains as well. Probably not too problematic. And for Queensland, northeasterly winds and northerlies, lifting your temperatures up a little bit now since those southerlies that you had. So as we kick off next week, the severe weather boxes are back. The one over Western Australia, that is for thunderstorms, heavy rain, and the chance of flooding. It's localized, but you've got that risk in there as all of this tropical heat sinks right down. And then just south of that, you've got the high pressure belt in here. So that just squeezes everything in to this narrow convergence area. That could still move around. It's already moved around a little bit since our update yesterday, but it's definitely worth focusing on. And then around Tasmania, you've got the polar boundary over the top of you, colder airflows in the mix, windy westerlies as well might be getting up to damaging just here and there. At the lowest end of the scale though. And then you jump up to the ACT, New South Wales and Queensland and the Northern Territory, and there's very little going on other than a couple of showers around the top end, which may be a bit thundery. So as we move through Tuesday of next week, this is our final map, and you can see we've still got that line of convergence, showers, thunderstorms, and in some areas it may set in as rain because it can't really move around. Low pressure sinking all around the top half of Western Australia and all over the Northern Territory. So the tropical red boundary comes right down into South Australia, although it's gone further northwards than it did a couple of days prior, and more of it coming into Queensland. So you'll be feeling heat in these areas. And when I say that, I mean 30, 35 degrees, 40 degrees in some of those areas. So some areas, that'll be the first time you've seen that in a number of months. And the line of showers actually carries on into parts of New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia as well. But again, this is just sort of a bit hit and miss, even coming into the ACT there. Coastal parts of New South Wales, however, should be dry. And as you go down to Tasmania, once more, you're into that severe weather box with the polar boundary just brushing Hobart and areas southwards. So that'll be another windy day, which takes us to our final map here, Tuesday night, gusty northwesterlies, and some areas that you see in the purple, the darker shading, showing wind gusts over 90 kilometres an hour. So it is classic spring as we kick off the month of October. Like I say, our Climate Watch update, that's out today, later on. So please check that out if you want the bigger picture of rainfall, temperatures, air pressure, how that is shaping up for the next few weeks ahead. I'll see you then.